Most people are living their lives in a state of constant reaction rather than conscious choice. They drift from one distraction to the next, rarely pausing to consider if the path they are currently treading is truly their own or merely a trail left by the expectations of others. Every single day, countless decisions are made from a place of habit, impulse, or a deep-seated fear of discomfort, rather than from a position of absolute clarity. The ancient masters remind us that true freedom is not the ability to do whatever we want, but the mastery of the mind, the capacity to see each moment for exactly what it is, and to act with a steady intention rather than being carried away by the unpredictable currents of circumstance. Imagine stepping into each day with a level of awareness so sharp that wisdom, not impulse, becomes your primary guide. There is a quiet, heavy pressure that grows when you know you are capable of more, yet fail to align your daily actions with your deepest principles. Growth, resilience, and inner peace are not gifts bestowed upon the lucky. They are carefully cultivated through deliberate practice, constant reflection, and an unyielding courage in the face of internal resistance. Each small act of self-mastery compounds into a life of integrity, providing a calm strength and a focused energy that shapes not only what you achieve in the world, but, more importantly, who you are becoming in the shadows where no one is watching. Every decision you make, every thought you entertain, and every deliberate pause you take is a hidden opportunity to reclaim control and direct your limited energy toward a singular purpose. What might your life look like if you approached every single moment with such deliberation that clarity and intention guided even the smallest, most mundane choices? This is the path of the focused mind, a life built on the bedrock of deliberate attention, consistent action, and the quiet accumulation of inner strength. Consider how often we carry the rotting weight of yesterday's failures into the fresh potential of today. Each morning, we step into the world with a theoretical horizon of possibility, yet our minds remain tethered to the ghosts of what has already passed. Failures we thought were buried, fears we hoped were silenced, and moments of hesitation and regret linger quietly in the subconscious, steering our attention and distorting our priorities. These remnants of the past do not announce their arrival with a shout. They steer our focus like a rudder, shrinking the space where new, vibrant choices might emerge. We may believe we are starting a fresh chapter, but our energy is often diluted by invisible chains. Every step toward a new goal feels heavier than it should because we are fighting a friction we fail to recognize. It is not the world outside that is holding you back. It is the unexamined weight of the life you have already lived. True beginning is never a purely external act. It starts with the calibration of your inner state. Without consciously releasing the impressions that no longer serve your growth, every new intention is burdened by an unseen gravity. Replaying old mistakes binds your present capacity for action to events that can no longer be changed by any amount of worry. Attachment to these old impressions becomes a subtle yet persistent barrier to excellence. It shapes how you perceive challenges, how you calculate risks, and how deeply you trust your own judgment. Old fears cast long shadows over every new decision, coloring the outcome before the action has even occurred. Imagine the liberation of waking each day with a mind that is uncluttered and calm, attempting a complex task while carrying the residue of old mistakes is like running a race in lead boots. Momentum emerges not from raw force or desperate effort alone, but from a total alignment between your current purpose and your mental space. When the emotional clutter is finally released, your actions feel lighter, challenges feel manageable, and opportunities feel expansive. As it has been observed, the impediment to action must advance action. What stands in the way must become the way. The first step is not to act blindly, but to clear the debris that blocks the mind. Only when we acknowledge and release these internal residues can obstacles be transformed into stepping stones instead of permanent chains. The persistence of unresolved experiences is often hidden beneath the mask of busyness. We fill our days with to-do lists and digital distractions to create the illusion of forward movement, while our minds remain tethered to a fixed point in the past. Moving without clearing mental clutter rarely produces true transformation. It only produces exhaustion. Progress becomes fragmented and shallow. You may achieve small wins or check off boxes on a list, but the internal stagnation remains. Even the most disciplined effort can be misdirected. If your attention is divided between the reality of the now and the ghost of the then, the masters of life cultivate a mental landscape where every ounce of energy is directed solely toward what can be shaped and mastered in the present. This requires a profound detachment, not a detachment from life itself, but from the parts of life that are no longer relevant to your journey. Closing old chapters is a supreme act of discipline, not an act of denial. It does not mean erasing your memory or pretending that failure never happened. It means acknowledging the raw truth of the experience while making a conscious, executive decision to stop investing your life force into a dead moment. We often complain that our time is short, yet we act as though our reserves of focus were infinite. Carrying unnecessary burdens consumes the only resource we cannot replenish. By identifying what is truly over and releasing what continues to drain your vitality, you reclaim the capacity for decisive, powerful action. Once this internal field is cleared, the next consideration is the specific quality of energy you bring into every interaction. It is not enough to merely have a clean slate. The trajectory of your life is determined by the persistent current of your thoughts and behaviors. Goals, in the way most people conceive them, are merely external markers. They exist as abstract points on a timeline, but energy is immediate and alive. It is the invisible soil in which your habits take root. Without a conscious direction, your energy will scatter into chaos, leaving your efforts blurred and weak. Identity हमेशा action से पहले आती है. Who you are becoming internally dictates the total effectiveness of your external deeds. You are shaped by the choices you repeat, not merely by the heights you aim to reach. Who you are becoming matters infinitely more than any specific outcome you pursue, because the outer world is a shifting sea of variables, while your inner disposition is the vessel that must navigate it. A moment of intense resistance may appear unbearable, but if your identity is anchored in discipline, that resistance becomes a mechanism for refinement rather than a reason for defeat. You can set 1,000 goals without cultivating the energy to sustain them, and they will all falter like structures built on shifting sand. Conversely, by anchoring your energy to a core principle or a virtue, you create a foundation for resilience that endures long after the initial spark of motivation has died out. One of the most practical ways to channel this energy is to select a single, guiding principle, a word that acts as an anchor for your behavior. This word is not a shallow slogan. It is a lens through which every action is filtered and interpreted. Whether it is discipline, focus, or patience, this principle serves as a constant reminder of the identity you are building. A checklist can tell you what to do, but it cannot tell you how to be. Your energy must be embodied. A single word can function as a psychological compass, pointing you back toward your center when the world tries to pull you off track. It primes your mind to notice opportunities that are aligned with that identity and strengthens your resolve when the path becomes steep. Choosing the right energy is an act of supreme deliberation. It requires a level of honesty about the kind of individual who can actually produce results, rather than the one who just wants to see them. This principle of identity over outcome is universal. Effort is almost always wasted when your actions are inconsistent with your internal narrative. If you resolve to create, but your energy remains scattered and reactive, you will always be at the mercy of external stimuli, distraction, fatigue, and self-doubt. The inner citadel must be fortified first, for it is the source from which all outward behavior flows. When your energy is anchored in a consistent principle, the same amount of effort produces a disproportionate impact. Every moment is a choice, not a reaction. Every action should reflect an intentional direction rather than a mindless habit. Even the smallest acts, when infused with this conscious energy, accumulate into a significant, undeniable transformation. Discipline exercised in one small corner of your life reinforces patience in another. Focus honed in your work improves the very quality of your relationships. This is applied psychology in its purest form. Neuroscience teaches us that repeated, value-aligned behaviors actually rewire our neural pathways, solidifying the patterns that support our long-term vision. Energy does not simply dissipate, it compounds. Each choice, no matter how seemingly trivial, contributes to the gravity of the identity, from which all your future decisions will flow. This is why a single guiding principle can be so transformative. It provides the coherence from which sustained effort emerges. An identity-centered energy also clarifies your priorities. When your decisions are filtered through a high standard, distractions lose their magnetic pull. Tasks that once felt urgent but were misaligned with your growth are revealed as the trivialities they truly are. External validation becomes a secondary concern to internal consistency. Living according to reason and virtue provides a tranquility that no amount of accolades can match. This alignment gives you the discernment to know what is necessary and what is superfluous, ensuring your energy is never wasted on the void. However, energy alone is still insufficient to produce a masterpiece of a life. Without a structure, even the most intense momentum will eventually dissipate. Most people pursue outcomes without ever building the architecture required to sustain them. They want the result, the strong body, the successful career, the creative breakthrough. But they overlook the framework that makes those results inevitable. Effort without a system is reactive. It is caught between the peaks of inspiration and the valleys of exhaustion. Systems, on the other hand, are the extensions of your internal alignment. They translate your abstract intentions into a tangible, daily reality by creating reliable pathways for your energy to flow. By embedding your actions within a structure, the randomness of effort is replaced by the reliability of a machine. This is how virtue becomes a habit. Excellence is not a singular act, but a repetitive process. Each small, structured action contributes to a larger pattern that shapes your character and reinforces your discipline. Systems provide the accountability and continuity that fleeting passion simply cannot provide. They are the invisible engine that converts your raw potential into a realized destiny.